Welcome to the Munchie Media Podcast. I'm Mason.
Bad. Let's do that again.
You're out of here.
I'm Nick. That's my name.
That's me.
That's me. Oof, don't spill it.
I'm really...
Put that cup on the other side of your coffee.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can just see you like reaching.
Sorry, I'm very stocked up on liquids right now because it's very hot outside.
For those of you that...
Stay hydrated.
If we use this clip, he literally has 4 drinks right next to him.
I have my beer. We have beers because it's summertime and boys drink beer.
Caffeine and green
caffeine
tea.
and tea. I always come here and I always sit here with a little glass of water, wishing I had a coffee or wishing I had anything else.
Yeah.
And now I have everything, and it's sunny.
Yeah.
And we're doing a podcast. And I've just put it back the exact same way I left it. Anyway,
I want to do
happy summer.
Happy summer. Cheers.
I feel like it's officially summer now in this country.
Yeah, definitely.
Peng. What did you do in between drinking it? You've got a convenient tissue here. Hold on. What a start.
Oh my god, man.
That was like actual practical effects we had for this episode.
Yeah.
It can never just be easy, could it? Can you imagine if
I
we
think
just
I
came in this room and recorded? Oh, fucking.
See, I told you. It's gonna happen.
Now. My heartbeat shouldn't be racing this much for a podcast,
Yeah.
for real.
I think I just swigged a bit too hard and I was
Just too much talk.
a bit too excited, you know.
Oh, God, that makes me want to have a drink. Try again.
Try this again.
Attempt 2. Beer.
I might keep it down here, actually.
It's nice. I don't drink lager or beer very often. I feel like I'm always drinking spirits if I'm out.
I mean, I went out this weekend.
I feel like we both recently have drank more than we've ever drank for months.
Yeah.
Just unintentionally.
Yeah. I went to our friend Lisa's birthday party.
Should we close the windows? It's fine. It's hot. Fuck it.
It's hot. Don't worry. Just enjoy the ambience.
Yeah, just chill. There's not many cars on the road today.
I don't know.
At least there's no football games.
The problem is there's loads of construction, so you'll hear like bangs and
that
trucks
is very
and
true.
Cranes and shit.
It's so weird. I feel like it's like random explosions every time I come over.
Yeah.
It's like if the stadium's going, that's a whole thing. If construction's going, sometimes the road here is just weirdly busy. Like there's sometimes where it's such a small road.
Yeah.
Take me about 2 seconds to cross it. But there are so many cars coming so consistently. And it's like, I actually, there is no space to cross this, like, 2-foot gap.
Yeah, it's very weird here in Wembley. It's like 90% of the time, to me, I really enjoy living here because it's like, I have Lidl right over there.
Yeah.
There's like the designer outlets, so it's like...
It's like a Mackey's,
like
5 minutes from
I
here.
bought like Adidas shoes, like cheaper just because there's...
from the outlet?
Yeah, just from the outlet.
Oh, I forget
like,
outlets are cheaper,
There's like a Primark, there's Next,
good brands.
There's Nike, there's Champion.
Cinema.
There's all these brands, so it's like, yeah, it's sick. It's nice. And then as well, it's like we have Big Asda, we got Box Park, there's a stadium, there's all this kind of stuff.
Between us, we cover a weirdly central part of England, of London.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've got Westfield.
Yeah.
You work between Spitalfields and Box Park, Wembley.
Yeah.
And then it's like where I work is in central London.
Yeah.
So it's like between us, we're essentially in all the hot spots.
True. I mean, in the context of London as a whole, Wembley and even Shepherd's Bush to an extent, we're west and kind of
definitely west.
We're out the way. We're not like central London.
You're fucking
I'm like up and north.
But this is the thing. We started in Harrow, and that is outer London.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, but when I was living in Harrow, I was like, I live in London.
It's basically
and now I live in
countryside.
London.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like the countryside of London.
I don't even consider it London anymore. Yeah. Whereas when I would go home to Bristol, I'd say like, oh yeah, I live in London and all that shit.
Yeah.
But it's like, because it's snap maps that really ruin the immersion. Because you really notice, like, because I can't tell if I'm really central or really west, but then I see you and I go, well, I'm definitely central.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, it's still...
You're more central than me. I think the fact that you can get the central line is
I think that's because I'm further south.
Yeah.
The south and north are our biggest issues.
Yeah.
Because it's more like, it takes 20 minutes to drive between where we live, but it's a 50-minute public transport journey. 50 to an hour and 10, I think. Like, I'm sure you could shave a few minutes off if you wanted to, but like, just typically, but because I always end up getting the train here, about 50 minutes, and then I'll always Uber home.
Yeah.
Because like after a certain time, it's like I cannot be fucked to get 2 trains, walk down Shepherd's Bush and Wembley.
Yeah.
And I don't know, especially if it's like weekend, because you know everyone's out drinking.
Yeah.
I don't know, like here for drinking. To be fair, I live by pubs. So.
I mean, I haven't like really gone drinking much here, at least like since uni. Like I've gone to Box Park a couple times, but I don't like if I ever go drinking, it's usually not here in Wembley. Yeah. I'll go central to drink.
That's the thing. I love opposite a pub now.
This weekend when we went out to this like German pub because so our friend Lisa, she's German, and like her boyfriend found this like pub that's like German themed, like with the
really nice
outfits
bit.
And the whole
the lederhosen.
Yeah, and like so we had these steins that are like literally it's not like a pint glass, you know, like a jug, right? It's fucking big.
It's a tankard.
Yeah.
Or like I think that would be the word.
You see those videos of like Oktoberfest where they just have like several of those.
As soon as you say Oktoberfest, you just assume a big thing of beer.
I had 2. I was like, fuck. But like yeah, I had a great night. I had a really good time.
Oh, is that the night where you fell asleep?
Yeah.
Yes, on your Instagram.
I'll tell. Yeah, I'm not sure how I did that, to be honest, because like I went for it.
I've drank with you a few times.
Yeah,
I've never seen you fall asleep before though.
I don't. I mean, so the thing is like with Lisa, I don't know if it's like just when I'm around her, but like last year at her birthday party as well, it's like I just got fucked up because I just went for it. I don't know if it's like maybe if there's like a party or a thing where it's like I'm not the host or I don't have to like worry about anything, then it's like I'll just kind of let loose and like I'll just go for it.
Go with it.
And
right.
so like that's what I did on Saturday. I just went for it and I had a great time. But like apparently I was like just ping ponging around the room. Like I went through like my camera. I had like this random photo completely out of focus of just some random dude just like I was just like fuck.
Yeah,
like I was just ping ponging around and then like apparently I just like had my drinks and then I sat down.
Do you remember what you were drinking?
So it was in this stein, this big like jar essentially, and then it was like some cocktail. It was like gin and something or vodka and something, but I don't know. It's kind of fruity, but yeah. And then I think I mean I can see like on my bank account that like I bought more drinks. I don't remember that.
So bad, yeah, because you wake up the next day and you've still got like a little Lloyd's notification or your bank notification, and it's like £10, £9, £7, £10, and you're like, what the fuck was I drinking? Like,
I looked at it as like, I remember those first 2, but what the hell were the rest of those? I don't remember.
Yeah.
But apparently I had like more pints when I was, you know, a lot more drunk.
I can honestly say I have never had a night where I was so drunk that I don't remember like portions of the night or like events, because to me waking up the next day not remembering and then being told things that happened or finding photos on your phone, to me that's like a horror film. You wake up in a cabin, you don't know where you are, and you're like there's a message on my phone, and it's like I don't know, there's something so terrifying about that thought.
I can't say that it's happened often or even many times for me, but I
think I can count on one hand. No, that's a lie. Maybe 2 hands. Like when I've been properly drunk.
Yeah,
I've been buzzed and all of that. Like, you know, I can drink, but like like people that because when I talk about drinking, I mean this. Like we're talking, we're sipping on our drinks and whatever else. But then like I know that young uni lads, drinking is not a leisurely beer.
It's let's get drink.
It's like we're gonna drink as much as we humanly can tonight, and then tomorrow, and then the next day, and then we restock, and then we just do it again.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they can just handle it as well.
Yeah.
I've noticed as well. It's really interesting because these types of people like lads, right? And I mean that to a T. Think of lad, right, and then just think of how many there are, and you see them all the time. Very specific types of like structure in their social systems, and I love it because they all act very cocky and with this attitude, right?
Yeah.
And that comes from when they're drunk, they feel like that, and then they bring it into their sober lives, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of them are very shy and anxious people. They're actually very quite timid, and you know, like they talk about birds all the time, as in ladies and women.
Yeah.
And they'll talk about them to the mates. Like they'll see someone come in, they go, "Oh, she's a fit bird, isn't it?"
Yeah.
As soon as they're face to face with this person, like,
I can't lie. Like
I've seen boys turn around on the spot
Yeah.
and just have their back to people. And it's like, you can't do that. Like,
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I haven't had a drink. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, I haven't had a drink. I can't talk to birds. And it's like, well, that's a real issue. You're like in your 20s in London. Like,
Yeah.
you need to be able to talk to people without the aid of alcohol.
Yeah, and it's not even like for me at work, it's not like I have the same thing where it's like, oh yeah, like she's really fun, I'm going to like go chat her up or whatever.
It's just like she's good looking, or like
yeah, it's like yeah,
they're stylish.
There's plenty good looking people that come into stores. It's like that's inevitable.
Yeah.
Inevitable. But like
Because if you're dealing with masses of people every day, you're gonna come across.
But it's
people,
like what I've tried to do is like I've just tried to be a bit more social. It's like, oh, what are you up to today? Or like, well, I don't know, like nice bag, nice shoes.
As
or
if they have a life to talk about.
Or eat, like for me, like I work at a salad bar, so it'll be like food choices. Like, oh yeah, like I knew you'd like that. Or it's like, I don't know. I'd say like sometimes they're like, oh, I'm gonna get like tofu or something. So then it's like, okay, like I think you'll like this. I'll like this, because then they're going a bit more like Asian cuisines.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, yeah, you want the miso aubergine, you want like
fully.
the edamame beans and like these.
Get the edamame.
They're like soy. We have like maple soy seeds. Like, yeah, I can basically say like I know exactly what you're gonna want.
Yeah,
because
well, it's the same in coffee. Like pairing is important. Like you'd pair like cinnamon with a certain blend of coffee, or
but like pairings are very consistent as well. Like it's kind of the same across most people. Like
you find foundations.
Yeah,
and like when you find those building blocks, then it's
yeah.
just the additions are so easy.
Yeah. And especially like when you're trying food quite often, especially like at our work, it's like I'll try, not all the time, but it's like when I have my lunch, we can essentially make our own salad. So like I'll try to throw something different in there each time, or like I'll try a different dressing, or I'll try.
Well,
I'll
just someone that works as a salad
little
bar,
pairings, just so I can kind of figure them out, because then that's what I use as recommendations for customers.
Which is kind of what you're there for, like. When people ask me about the drinks, like they kind of expect me to know.
Yeah.
The amount of people that work in coffee shops, by the way, and it's the funniest thing, that hate coffee and don't drink it.
Yeah.
And it's like, so a customer will be like, "Oh, funny. What do you think?" And they go, "I have no idea."
Yeah.
It's like you're literally their lifeline in coffee right now.
Yeah.
And you're all they've got, and you're like, I drink squash.
Yeah.
Like, that's not helpful. But yeah, I felt like, serve something you at least know about. So if you're selling something, you should be somewhat knowledgeable of the product, even if you don't like it.
And the thing is, the recommendations, like, people take your word for it. Because, like, so we have a dressing at work.
It scares me when people take my recommendation, because they go, I'll have exactly what you recommended. I'm like, are you sure? And they go, yeah, well, I trust you. I'm like, you do? I'm like, I've only just met you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the good thing, maybe that's a bit better than, like, a coffee place, because, like, yours is just, like, you order the coffee, and then it gets made, and then, you wait at the end of the bar.
So I actually, if it's ever quiet in the morning, I treat it like it's a normal coffee shop, and where I will serve someone at the till. Yeah. I will walk down and make their drinks, and I'll still be talking to them at the time.
Yeah.
And then I will finish it off, and it's usually like we're still talking. And it's like, to me, that's the ideal coffee experience.
Yeah.
Someone's taking notice, you're having a conversation, but I can still work as well.
Yeah.
Whereas like when it's busy in the slightest,
it's just
you have person at till.
Next.
Move down,
like,
wait, have your drink, you're gone.
Yeah.
It's like, but again, I grew up in like the marina, so it was all retirees.
Right.
So you knew all the customers, and they came in to talk, right?
Right.
So I feel like you learn how to work and talk.
Yeah.
Whereas I get told off in most places now because I talk too much. But I'm like, it's customer service. To me, that's like being able to do both, not just one or the other.
Yeah, I think there's like, at least at our place, there's like times for it. Like sometimes when it's really busy and it's like you can see someone's like chatting quite a bit. It's like,
or even if the
like,
customer's in a rush.
Yeah, it's
you
like,
don't
look,
want to keep it.
I'm all for it. Chat with people, like be flirty, or like chat with someone.
Have fun.
Have fun with them. But like at the same time, it's like, mate,
but make sure you're getting the salads up.
We're busy right now. Let's like next one. Come on, like
you've been chopping that one tomato for 20 fucking minutes.
Lucas, I'm calling you out.
There's a wanted poster coming up here. Like.
Next up on the cupboard. Yeah.
Oh my god! If we made this like our bounty board, just to deal with real life issues. Oh, that would be horrible. We'd have like a little mob of people. But like, this person.
Missing in action. Nick fell asleep at the party. We don't know where he is.
Oh my god, yeah. We do like announcements on here, like the actual news.
Yeah.
Breaking news. I don't know. I love stuff like that. I love that. Because again, it's like, to me, you learn to read customers. And that is essentially reading people.
Yeah.
You can tell when someone's busy and they don't want to talk. And so you don't force them to like...
Yeah,
Right.
It's very obvious now because most people like they'll just stick their headphones in and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna
Oh my
make this
God, yeah.
salad. I'm not gonna like they'll just say I want this salad and they have their headphones like big headphones or whatever or like they're on their
They just
phone.
expect you to get on with it.
It's just like yeah, okay, I'll just like all the way down and then yeah.
The amount of people on the
Like,
phone
that's
when they
it.
order astounds me. It sounds awful. I would, as I literally did about 20 minutes ago, I'd call you from the outside of the store.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Yeah.
All right, cool, I'll go get it.
Yeah.
And it's like the next you hear from me would be when I get there, right?
Yeah.
But it's like the amount of people that will be at the till and they remove their phone or their earphone.
Yeah.
As if I'm interrupting them. I'm like, I haven't even charged you yet, my guy. It's
My-
like, you've still got to pay.
My thing is that, and like, I get why people do this because like, so usually during a lunch we have like a queue that will sometimes go out the door or even like kind of
I've
wrap
seen
around,
your
right?
queue. It's
So-
fucking mad.
So, but like a lot of people are coming from offices or they're like with a friend
Lunch
or
breaks.
whatever, right? So they're like talking to someone, but then they'll get to the front of the queue and then they're like, I don't know what I want. And it's like, to me, I'm like, you've been waiting here and there's a queue. So it's like, you've been waiting 15, 20 minutes in the queue with a big old menu with like TVs right in front of you.
Places like that Subway.
At least just like think, okay, this is what I want. And then like you just have it memorized and then get back to your conversation. But it's like you get to the front of the line and you're still like,
I have the continuation of this
oh,
issue.
come
I
on,
have
man.
the opposite issue, which is when you're giving them the thing, right?
Yeah.
To me, if I order a coffee, I know exactly what I ordered. I know who was in front of me.
Yeah.
And I potentially know who was behind me. And it means that if that person gets their food or their drink, I know that I'm probably next. I know that if they call my name or the drink that I ordered, conveniently, I know it's mine, right? The amount of people that will sit at the end of my bar and take the wrong drink. There are names on the cups. There are different milks, different syrups. Sometimes, my favorite one is when they order an iced coffee and then they pick up a hot drink and walk away.
Yeah.
It's not your drink. But you should know that because it was about 20 seconds ago that you asked for it, which means you knew you wanted it.
Yeah.
And it's a whole thing. Or it's like...
And as well, it's hot in your hand.
Yeah, and it's like... So I'll be like, latte for Martha.
Yeah.
Suddenly a big bloke in like a, big bold bloke called Dave comes up and goes, latte. And I go, are you Martha? And he goes, no. And I go, it's not your latte. and then usually just to like make things less awkward, I'm like, oh, is it Dave? Oh, it's on the way. I can see it being brewed. They go, oh, okay. Or it's when they get annoyed at me for it. It's like, I know you're embarrassed because you've just taken the wrong drink, like someone that didn't listen.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you're still going to have to stand there and wait for your drink.
Yeah.
It's so uncomfortable. But to me, it's not an issue that you should be having often, but it is common.
Yeah, it's like at the end of the day, like if it's your first time at
That's
the
different.
place
If you're
or
stressing,
like
I don't want you stressed.
or like the thing is sometimes like we have a lot of different choices at our place, so it's like they'll say to you like, oh, there's just so much choice, and I'll be like,
you work them,
and that's when you like start to walk them through like, oh,
what do you like? What do you normally eat?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, veg or meat.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Are you vegan? Are you veg? Or are you like, do you
Spicy
eat fish?
or
Yeah.
fruity,
Do you
like-
like your spice? Do you like? Are you going more Asian or like? And then you can go, okay, like,
You
I
start
recommend
building
this,
that
that,
profile,
that.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
okay, like, and
That's
then
the thing. You need the foundation. So it's like I
Yeah.
will do the same thing. It's like hot or cold, coffee or no coffee.
Yeah, yeah.
Already, I've limited the suggestions, and if I give you a latte,
Yeah.
then I can just build that one drink to how I keep knocking this mic, to however they would like it, right?
Yeah.
I'm really because every time I think about salad, right, and I think a lot of people, especially people that don't eat salads like me,
Yeah.
when I think of salad, I think of tomato and lettuce everywhere, just green and stuff. And then you told me like, there is no lettuce on your. I'm really sorry. There is no lettuce on your salad, or there is.
There is. It's just that it's like there are many options, and you can also change them. So it's like, so for example, we have the Caesar salad, right? The Caesar comes with
I'm now
kale,
going to pretend to know what salads are like.
kale, which personally I'm not a fan of, and lettuce.
Kale's rough.
Yeah, I mean, like it's nice sometimes, but like
Kale's like the whiskey of healthy food. Like,
yeah,
you've really got to commit.
I guess so, yeah.
I mean,
but it's
can you
like
make kale taste nice? Can you just sprinkle tons of seasoning on it?
well that's the thing. Like you can get like a base of kale, but then by the time you've added everything else, it's just part of the dish, so that it doesn't like it's like
I see people eating like dried kale. Like
it's
from the
like if
bag.
you put like mushrooms in like a curry or something,
You're not
or like
tasting it,
yeah, it's just part of the dish. It's not like something that sticks
not
out
the main
as
attraction,
as
like-
much at least. So it's not as if like we do have salads that have like lettuce and tomatoes and cucumbers, like the typical things that you get in a salad, but like I think part of the reason is of why we're popular is that we have other options that people enjoy.
Salad's actually a very wide genre of food, not a salad. Like,
yeah, because it's not like we just have like tomatoes, cucumbers, carrots.
Which is like if you got like a McDonald's salad, that's what you get. You get a bunch of salad and then like a chicken tender.
Yeah, and then like maybe some onions. But it's like you on ours, like, okay, the Caesar is like the most basic salad out of them.
Is that usually without meat?
No, it's with chicken.
Is it?
Yeah, chicken Caesar.
Chicken Caesar.
Yeah, chicken Caesar.
Of course.
Yeah. So chicken Caesar, it'll just it's the most basic salad. So it'll be kale, lettuce, tomatoes, chicken breast, and then Parmesan cheese and croutons.
So Caesar salad's got like a specific sauce as well, right?
Caesar dressing.
Yeah.
So and like that's it. It's a very simple, but it's also like it's simple for a reason because it's just nice.
Yeah.
But it's like
someone found the correct menu.
But like we have other salads that are either like more complex or they have like different types of ingredients and stuff like that. Like we have one that's called the Omega, right? It's
is that fish based?
Yeah. See, so like the fact that you
first thing my brain went to is fish fingers, like bird's eye adverts. And I'm like,
the fact that you can kind of figure that out just off the name, it says enough.
It means it's
like
clever marketing as well.
Omega, so it's fish, it's trout. So that one is rocket, which I'm personally not a fan at all. But like rocket, rice, and then the toppings is where like I think most of the flavor comes from.
What is rocket?
Arugula is like the American term.
Okay.
It's just like another kind of type of leaf that grows out the ground, I guess.
Just another leaf.
Yeah, I can't act as if I know exactly.
You work in the salad business, you should know all the leaves.
But like on that salad, because it's let's say like a bit more, I'd say like Asian in its persuasion. I don't know. I don't know. I think
it might be one of the best jokes you've told on this podcast.
it's kind of Asian influenced, at least in my opinion, because it has like edamame beans, which are like essentially baby soybeans, which is like more of an Asian thing.
Yeah.
And then also miso aubergine. Miso is like an Asian thing. Pickled ginger. Ginger is an Asian thing. And then like coriander.
I never think of ginger being Asian. Because to me, like when I think of ginger, I'm thinking of like ginger biscuits.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I've done is I've just stolen a food group like the English.
I think like a lot of other countries will kind of have like I think ginger's typically like kind of like a
common spice.
It's like a natural remedy kind of thing. It's like it's very healthy for you. Like we sell these little things
shots.
Hot shots of ginger. Like it burns to fuck, but it's really good for you.
So we've got turmeric and ginger, and essentially it's like easy mode. Like pussy mode is the turmeric, and then like if you're feeling up to it, you can have a ginger. And I remember I came in sick to work one day.
Yeah.
And my boss was just like, grab a shot, essentially, like clear yourself up, see how you feel. I took the turmeric one, I was like, well, that was alright actually. Took the ginger one, and I was like catching my breath from the spice. It was like this big. It's like I literally drink hard spirits, but ginger.
It's worse than that.
Yeah, I'd literally rather drink Irish whiskey neat than one of those shots. Cause like, I guess you do feel healthy afterwards because you've just cleared out every sinus.
So it's like the differences in the different salads and stuff, they come from like the different toppings and the different like seasonings for whichever kind of like we call them headliners, but it's just
it's so well managed.
When I say to like the customers, it's just like, yeah, they're called headliners, but basically it's just like your proteins. That's what I'm talking about. Your proteins.
I loved. It's such a nice thing about talking like a human in a customer service job.
Yeah.
Because not many people do it, right? Because when I'm like, oh well, see, I don't really like it, but like if you want it, like I'll serve it to you. But I'll talk as if I've got opinions, but usually people go, oh, matches sells really well. You'd love it. Oh, do you want a medium? Yeah, put it through. Like, whereas I'm someone that will quite like, because I know some people like it, but I also know what are the weak parts of what I sell and what are the strong parts. So I'll emphasize the stronger parts. But the thing is, as well, I don't upsell like you normally would. Normally, especially in a coffee shop, you say, do you want this for an extra $1.99?
Yeah.
But a human knows that you're upselling to them, and they'll casually say no constantly.
Yeah.
But if I see someone like looking at the cakes, I'll make like a joke. I'm like, "Oh, you fancy something to eat?"
Yeah.
And they go, "Oh, yeah." I'm like looking at the chocolate. I'm like, "Chocolate chip cookies are really nice." And they go, "Oh, I'll have one of those."
Yeah.
And that is how a human upsells. They can relate.
Or when someone goes
they
like,
know.
"Oh, like what's that?" And
Yeah,
it's
you're
like,
looking
"Oh,
at their reaction.
those are the maple walnuts,"
Because
and they're what I literally.
It's a guilty thing. People come in and they're looking at the cake cabinet with guilt in their eyes, but they're like, I would love a cake right now. And you can tell they're kind of on the borderline. And what I essentially do is I always say, do you want to enjoy this day? Or do you want to be miserable? And they go, I want to have fun. I'm like, buy the fucking cake.
Yeah.
And they go, I think I'll buy two. And I go, all right. Like,
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. It's that sense of like, excitement about it. It's like, that's, because you're already spending £5 for a coffee.
Yeah.
It's like me just selling you shit casually. That is also like as if I didn't have any concerns.
Yeah.
To me, that's almost like robbery.
Yeah.
It's like or manipulation. In
Yeah,
that sense, but-
I think like I always try to do it out of like my own personal recommendation.
Yeah, like
'Cause
if
it's
you recommend it to a
if
friend.
I haven't, sometimes you'll get to the end and that's where like all the different dressings are. And they'll ask like, "Oh, what's that one like?"
It's
I'll just say like, "Actually, I don't have that one that regularly, or I haven't actually tried that one, so I'm not sure." Like,
Yeah.
and that's when like,
I'll always recommend caramel.
The good part of like working with a lot of people is that like I can just turn next to me and I'll be like, "Oh, you normally have this. Is it good?" And then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's like only a little bit spicy
Working
or whatever."
as a
right?
team, like a very mixed team,
Yeah.
is always, if you know the values of certain people, like just because you've spent time with them, right?
Yeah.
If they even speak a second language, like already, I will commonly have customers because a lot of people are tourists in central London. They might struggle with the language or the currency. And it's like, if I get someone Italian coming up and they go, oh, like, sorry, I'm kind of just working it as I go.
Yeah.
I'll say, like, don't worry, my staff are Italian. And then I'll literally call them and I'll say, can you just give me a hand here? They will speak fluently to each other. In about 2 seconds, meal's done in, they're happy and they're on the way, right?
Yeah.
Whereas otherwise it would have been me and them awkwardly trying to communicate. And you're like, ha ha ha,
Yeah.
like, awkward. But it's like, no, well, I've got someone here. And it's like, and it's like, just by knowing that and by able to, like, ask them for help and stuff, it's like,
Yeah.
you can just achieve a much better time, essentially, a much better experience.
Yeah.
Like, because the thing is, where you got to know where you are weak, and it's such a crucial thing that a lot of people don't like thinking about. I know that I can only speak one language. I know that like I'm very limited to like English customs and cultures.
Yeah.
So when it comes to a lot of tourists, like I might not be very good. I can be polite and I can be like endearing to get them through the door, but like when it comes to like a more help required, like. Well, of course, I know that this person has more experience, so why wouldn't I ask them for a hand?
Yeah.
And it's like, working as a team is such an important skill. And if you can't do it, you'll just kind of struggle on your own.
Yeah.
And you might even lie to yourself a little bit, like, no, I can do it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but someone else could do it easier. And they might want to help you. And then
Yeah,
your
yeah.
life is easy. And it's like, that's a way better option than the first one. Like,
Yeah.
because I also have understood from knowing now people that come from another country, like after so many years of living there, right?
Yeah.
It's a frustration.
That's
like
a
having a second language can be really frustrating sometimes.
It's a huge part of living in London, I think, as well, because like, so a lot of the people that I work with aren't English.
No, same. Yeah.
So that like
we're the minority.
English
more
is
often than not,
English is like a lot of people's second language, at least here in London, because people move to London to work,
Yeah.
right? So it's like in our kitchen, like between all of our staff, it's like we have a lot of Spanish, we have a lot of kind of like
Yeah, Spanish
like
is common, yeah.
I don't want to like mess up their nationalities or whatever, but it's like we have like Indians, we have like Spanish, and then we'll have
Japanese.
we have Japanese, we have Italian as well, we have Greek, we have like Colombian as well.
It's
like,
mad because in
we've got
Bristol,
people
I'd be
here, there, and
excited
everywhere.
to meet someone from Spain.
Yeah.
In London, it's like just everyone is so common
Yeah.
all the time. Like it's not like, oh, these people are common here and these people aren't. It's like no, consistently, like as you every single person you've mentioned or every single culture or country, it's like, yeah, I can put a face to that culture and like I've met people from all of these places
Yeah,
a lot around
Yeah,
London. And it is such a, especially if you're someone that lives in the country and
Yeah.
you're young and you are not accustomed to meeting other, go to a city. It doesn't matter for how long, but it's the important skills that you learn
Yeah.
from knowing other cultures and like
Yeah.
having to like be respectful and
And
polite.
what I've found is that like
Invaluable.
people that are like English is their second language, like our kitchen staff, or even like between the front of house staff, or like engaging with customers and stuff, is like people make a massive effort to like try and
So polite.
try and find a way to communicate to each other. like what words can we use so it means the same thing for the both of us. So like when I say hey boss, like can I get this, you know exactly what I mean. Or
that's actually been one of my favorite things is the fact that when they want to learn English better, because to me they already speak it fluently and perfectly, but then you'll get like a phrase that they might get stuck on, and it's a very specific thing, and it'll be like, because if I said something, because I'm very particular with certain things, I forgot what it was. It said like, if I say I'm off, to me that means I'm leaving the store and I'm going home. I'm off now. I'll see you later. Right. But then if I say to like one of my colleagues, right, this happens to someone, I go, "Are you off?" And they go, "Yeah." Well, they mean they're going to go downstairs and go on a break. But I think they're leaving, and I'm like, "I thought you said you were off." And they were like, "Yeah, I went off downstairs." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And it's such a specific thing in my brain.
Yeah.
And then so they will say like, "Oh, what would you say?" And then I say, "Well, I'd probably say this." And then they go, "Oh, okay." And that happens a ton. Like, "Oh, what would you call this?" And I go, "Oh, you're taking the top off." And they go, "Oh, okay." And it's like such a weird. It's really endearing.
Yeah, because they want to learn. Like part of the reason why these people like come to England, and like part of the reason that they do that is that so that they can improve their English. So then they'll say like, "Oh, how do I say this?" Or like,
give them 10 years, they'll be better than most
like
English speakers.
You'll see them like, we'll be in mid conversation, like, "Oh, I don't know the word." And the good thing is for me at least, like with some of the Spanish speakers, they can say like, "Oh, what's this?" And it's like, even though I'm not fluent in like Spanish or Portuguese, like the languages of my family, it's like I can roughly be like, sometimes I can be like, "Oh, it's that."
Yeah.
And then oh yeah, like that's how you say it.
Because would you say like you and your sister are technically the most English people in your family?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's weird that you would be like the specialist in this country for the rest of your family. Or like, if you're speaking to your mum, like she would go to you instinctively because you are.
No, my mom speaks like way better English than me. Like my mom speaks like proper English. That's what she kind of she prides herself in doing.
Being proper.
In doing that way.
That's the thing, is because a lot of English people don't even bother speaking English properly.
No.
Accents are a big part of it, but another thing is like going out of your way to learn how to. Because essentially you're having to relearn how to do things.
Yeah.
So you're having to forget how you once said a word.
Yeah.
And then and this is another thing. When I tell people I'm from Bristol, they say, "No, you're not." But like that is from 21 years and now 2 dedicated years of trying to refine my speech.
Right.
And like, maybe I slow myself down a little bit, or maybe it's less like. You've seen me when I get energetic, I'll trip over myself like a billion ways.
Yeah. No, I do the same thing.
But like my accent, but from where I've been learning words like as if I hadn't spoke English.
Yeah.
It's now like I pronounce things differently, and I'm really excited to go back to Bristol this week because every time I go back, I sound more posh and more London than my family, and my family always stay consistently Bristol, and they're very aggressively Bristol.
Oh, you're a London guy now.
Yeah, no. Like... So, like, because I always
got that Cockney accent,
I'm like, "Oh, that's peng," and they'll be like, "What the fuck did you say?" The first time I went back, and I was like, "Yeah, my gaff's peng," and they went, "What?" I went, "My gaff is peng." Those are 2 words that do not get used in Bristol.
Describe gaff and describe peng.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I'm like, my apartment is very nice.
And it's like, and then you have peng, you have lang.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
Different ways of saying the same thing.
I now work with a lad. And I remember we had a whole debate. This was like this is early on. He was like, he was saying the word yard. And yard to London lads means my gaff or my house or my apartment or whatever. To me, yard is the back garden.
Yeah.
So he'd be like, "Oh, do you want to come to my yard?" I'm like, "Are you having a barbecue?"
Yeah.
He's like, "What do you mean?" It's like, well, "Why are you inviting me to your back garden?" They're like, "Nah, come to my yard." I'm like, "I'll go to your gaff."
Right. Yeah.
And it's like I've been using the outdated old school. Yeah. And like they've come in with the new modern words.
Yeah. For me, it's like I've kind of lost that kind of South African lingo, and now for me, it's like I sound English. I know the English lingo, and that's just like the way I'd go forward now. But there's times where it's like someone will say something, I'm like, "Wait, huh?"
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean exactly?
What jibber you talking
Yeah, because it seems like some of them just come out of nowhere, and you're like, "Wait."
This is the thing, especially if you're not in the country. Like, it's just not circulating.
Like an American one is like no cap.
Yeah.
Or it's like, "Oh, that's cap." It's
bet.
Yeah, bet.
What do you mean? What we betting on? Like,
it's like, wait. Okay, but then once you figure it out,
cap, like I'm not talking shit. Like Is that kind
Yeah,
of...
no cap. It's like, yeah, I'm not
telling
chatting
the
shit
truth
out.
right now,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Well, like cap is like, oh, you're lying. Like,
Oh, you
bullshit.
capping.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's like
so
it's fucking bullshit. So it's like little things like that, but it's like it's just different ways of saying the same words. But
Yeah.
the reason why it's so annoying is like to people that are moving here, it's like they're just trying to learn English. And then you
Mate.
come at them with like extra lingo and stuff, and they're like, "Wait, that
That's why
word,
you never see-
that word also means the same as this other word." It's like, so you don't say that person's a liar; you say they're capping, right? Like, what the fuck?
But I think that's also why there's the biggest gap is between like proper Cockney Londoner youngsters, right, and then like people that have moved here in their adult life to work, right. They
Yeah.
are on opposite ends of the spectrum,
Yeah.
and neither of them understand each other, and neither of them really want to. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, so for a young London lad
Mm.
and for someone that's come over for uni or something,
Yeah.
it's like very often they don't mix in the same circles.
The
And if
fu-
they do, it's actually really funny.
Mm.
Because it's just two people that speak the same language having communication issues.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? But like, I love stuff like that. And it's, again, like, this is me who's had one experience with one language pretty much, and you that have had much more, I think.
Oh, you can see it sometimes. Like sometimes at work, so we have our head chef, or she's kitchen manager now, Aldara. She's from Spain,
Oh, yeah.
and sometimes like I'll be talking to her, and it's like you can see the cogs turning, where it's just like for a second I'll ask her a question, and you can see like input, translate in English, and then it's like
Aldara
oh,
was
this,
in the interviews that you had.
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like translate into English and then translate from English into Spanish and then formulate my response, and like you can see it's like
Add a bit of flair.
you know, it's like the sound of like the old like rotary internet where it's like like it's just going, and then it's like
AOL's
and
getting
then
loaded,
you
like-
see like the second they understand it's like and then
No, it's literally like you understand the light bulb metaphor because you see people fucking like, oh, yeah.
and then they go, oh, okay, it's over here.
It's one
whatever,
of my favorite
you know.
feelings,
Yeah.
especially when there's someone that is trying to make me understand, and then I finally understand. I go, oh, you've got it bang on.
I tried to say it a bit louder and a bit slower than I normally would, just so that like they can
Which is being clear.
hear the full word of what I'm trying to say. Because then, like, it will just I can see it will take them the extra second, but once they got it, it's like they got it.
Yeah.
I don't have to repeat
And the thing
myself.
is as well, like people like that do that will just get very quick at it eventually. It's just about putting in the time, and
Yeah.
it's like if you do it over the course of a year, by the end of that year, you're probably thinking it like half the time you used to.
Yeah.
And then you become because that's just a form of intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Like someone that can just switch between languages with years of experience, like
It's
that
yeah.
person's valuable.
You essentially have to like. I mean, this is like what I'm also trying to do. Like, so my family's Portuguese, Brazilian, so I need to learn Portuguese because my parents at home.
Is there something that was like they wanted you to learn as a kid?
Oh God.
But they speak like Portuguese around the house or anything?
That's the thing. They speak English in the house my whole life, and then they have a go at me for not speaking Portuguese, and
It's
I'm
actually
like,
your fault.
and they're like, oh, like we tried it. It's like, yeah, but you tried for how long? What? You just gave up? Like
You asked us at 6
Like-
and we said no.
yeah, it's like what? So when I was 10 years old, you just like, oh, well, we won't try anymore. It's like if you guys just spoke constantly in Portuguese in the house, then
You would have picked it
that's-
up naturally.
That's what I would have learned. But because of that, now at 21, I'm like trying to learn my native language.
It's really funny because you
In
speak
Portuguese.
very proper English as
Yeah.
well, which means that like to your family you're just a British person.
Yeah. So it's like I have to relearn this, and it's like between Duolingo, there's some people at work, and then like I think one of the things is like, so I'm going to Portugal this weekend. Is like once I have my passport and stuff renewed, then like I can kind of just fly back to Portugal whenever I want.
Yeah.
So I'll try use that as an excuse, like, oh, I'm going to learn. When really it's just like, oh, I'll go
I mean,
on holiday.
is it easy to have a holiday in Portugal? Because I know it's very common, but like
Yeah.
like what's the prices like for flights? I imagine it's reasonable.
To be honest, my parents, well, not my parents, my dad, my
Find out
sister
you're
have
flying first
they
class,
have
like-
mostly kind of dealt with this. I've kind of just said like,
Oh,
just
no, my family's-
just let me know the details and I'll be there.
I'll be there.
But
I'll
I
show
like
up.
I think generally like getting to it's the same as like these closer countries on the European side.
Yeah.
From like what's it the English Channel, right? It's like to get
I
to
didn't realize
France.
we're actually so close.
Yeah,
to
to get
so
to
many
get to
countries.
France, to get to Spain, Portugal, Holland, and so like they're basically just across the
As
ocean
someone that
from
is
us.
covered in Viking runes, finding out that Norway and Scandinavia is essentially our next door neighbor
They're not too far away.
It's literally like you can just get a boat over.
Yeah.
And it's like, but to me, you'd have to fly there.
Yeah.
It's like, but if you look
still,
on a map,
so-
you're like, oh, it's just there.
Yeah,
Like-
but like you can get flights relatively cheap depending on the time to get there, and obviously it depends like what time of year you go, because around this time, June, July,
Summer holidays,
August, it's summer
Kids are off,
holidays,
families are out.
exactly, summer holidays. So that's when obviously prices are higher because more people are going. Whereas if you do that, say in January when it's winter in Portugal or something like that, then
Yeah.
it's probably going to be a lot cheaper.
I mean, we went to Florida and there were 7 of us, right?
Yeah.
It was like one of the only proper holidays I've had. And it cost like a good few grand, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it was a full done thing. But we went, I think the day we got into the US in Florida, we went to like Disneyland and whatever else. The day we got there, they had just taken down the Halloween stuff. It was the day after Halloween. Right, so
Yeah.
it was like just getting to winter.
Right.
Day after Halloween, all the Christmas stuff went up. Like
Yeah.
within the night,
Immediately.
they did the whole park, right? And then suddenly it was like winter, and it was all ice. But it's Florida, so it's humid, and it's
Yeah.
like in their coldest season, it is still hotter than it is here in the summer.
Yeah.
And I remember we came out the airport, and I looked at my brother, and I was like, "It's too hot. I need to go home."
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
it
tops
was
off.
it was crazy. And then we would come back, and it was fucking like snowing in Britain, and it was like pitch black. And I'm like, no, this is winter. Like,
Honestly.
madness. But it's weird. I'm someone that would like to travel more. I went to Spain, and our hotel flooded. Went to Ireland, and that's just different England.
Yeah.
And then I went to Florida, which is just way too hot and
Yeah.
humid. And it was like, but I'd like to keep going and trying other places. Like,
I mean, the unfortunate thing is just like over the course of time that I've lived here in the UK, like for the first couple of years, you're just settling and like, you
Getting
know, my
used to it.
family, we didn't have the money to like travel back or to travel to, you know, take a holiday
it
or
was like
whatever.
a one-way trip at
Yeah,
the time.
it was like every summer it was just, you know, we're staying home because that's what we could do. So it's like I haven't traveled around loads. The countries that I've been to are the countries where my family are at. So I've been to Portugal when I was very young. When I was
because family trips are different.
when I was
to,
a
like,
child. I've been to
holidays.
Brazil twice. Once when I was very small, again like when I was a baby, and then in 2014 I was like, I don't know, 13, 14,
Because that's the thing, if
whatever.
you went there now, you would handle it so differently.
Yeah.
Because you would make it a holiday.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you'd make the most of
But
it.
like, yeah, part of the point of like growing up, you start earning more money, so on, is that like, yeah, I want to travel more. I think the first thing for me will be go home to South Africa, go to Portugal again, go to Brazil, because I haven't been back.
Get in touch with your roots.
I haven't been back to South Africa since I moved, which is
Really?
like, yeah, it's crazy, but it's just the way that
But it's how it works out. Like,
yeah. So it's like first stop is go home to South Africa.
Go home, yeah,
After that, because I've going to Portugal now, go to Brazil because I haven't been there in a few years. And then after that, Portugal again, Europe, maybe
See, I love that,
Asia,
'cause your
America, like
top 3
I got everything on my list.
opposites. Because like I'd like to go back to I'd like to visit Europe, like France and Amsterdam and stuff like that, and then I'd like to go back to the US and experience like other states. And like some of my if I like dream holidays, like my plan is if I could go on holiday and I could afford it all, and this is like
Yeah.
in our 30s, right? Me and Jamie always spoke about like, oh, we'd hire bikes and we'd go down routes in America. We'd just do a cruise, and then also like you could go down to Detroit, and in like some of the suburban outsider parts of Detroit,
Yeah.
it is empty. The roads are non-existent. Like they exist, but there's no one on them. So you can literally go to Detroit and street race and drift and just drive around, knowing there's no one else on the roads, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's what we need to do. If we went to America, I'd want to do just like a big car and bike thing. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Talking about cars, as
Right.
people that are in London, right? So I come from Bristol. In Bristol, it is necessary to drive to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And so, like, I was brought up, and like every 5 minutes, I was told, you need to get your license, you need to get a car, do it before. And then it became, do it before you go to London. Like, you need to get your license, all this shit. Knowing full well that I'm not going to drive in London, I'm not going to bother to try and learn in London, because to me, it is a fruitless endeavor.
That's why I never got mine, because I
Yeah.
knew like I knew basically as soon as I knew that I was gonna, because for a while I was very anti-uni. I was like, I don't need it, I'm not gonna go.
It's really weird, isn't
pointless,
it? It
da,
works
da,
out
da.
with ages, because I wanted to go to uni, then I really didn't think about it,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, I moved to London. And it was like, but I don't know if that's like a teenage thing that we're quite
I don't know.
developing
Well,
anyway.
for me, it was just at the time I was doing a lot of photography, and from that standpoint, I was thinking like, oh,
You could do that anyway.
I'm gonna be a professional photographer. You know, I don't need a degree. I would like fuck uni, whatever. And I think to an extent I was right, but so for a while I was like, like it's not on the table, whatever. And
It's
then
becoming more
once I decided like, okay, I'm gonna go to uni, then I said like, well, I'm probably going to go to London. And as soon as my sister was already in London, so it's like, I'm probably going to go to London as well. That's where I want to go, at least in this country. It's like, I wouldn't go to Birmingham or to Bristol or
Well, that's
wherever.
the thing.
It's
When
like,
people that don't live in England
Yeah.
think of England, it's like
It's
three
London.
cities, if not just London.
yeah, it's just London. That's
It's-
what
yeah.
people think it is.
People go London, Ireland, and
Yeah.
maybe
Oh,
Wales.
do the police have the big hats? And it's like, no, they're not all bobbies with like the
They
Queen's
wear white
Guard.
shirts and vests.
Not everyone is the Royal Guard that has the big fucking furry hats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Military garb on.
Yeah.
On a horse.
Yeah,
like-
yeah. But like, so like when as soon as I knew like London's probably gonna be the place.
I'm
if
really
I,
sorry, just to interject. The fact
Yeah.
that we were talking about like how they're all like bobbies and all that. The fact that I saw someone get stopped and searched the other day by an officer in an Adidas tracksuit with an iPad.
Yeah.
Like they are not like the cavalry or bobbies.
Yeah.
Sometimes they look like chavs, which is insane to me. But like
Yeah. Like so with as soon as I knew, you know, I'm gonna end up in London. London's gonna be like if I pick uni, it's gonna be within London. I was like, why am I gonna get my license? What's the
Yeah.
point?
No,
In London,
yeah.
it's like
It's
first of
expensive,
all,
it's
anyway,
inconvenient.
at our age, insurance is high, so it's like you're gonna
Two young lads in London.
You're gonna have
Like,
that
no.
cost, and there's a cost of purchasing a car. There's a cost of maintaining it,
Maintenance,
of
fuel,
petrol, all this stuff,
MOT,
insurance,
tax, like
fucking
fuck.
parking it somewhere. Like you have to keep it somewhere as well. It can't just like.
So that's what I was saying.
So it's like, it's just not. At least in London, it's not worth it.
just not-
There's
it's not
some cars
viable.
out here.
you
Of
see
the people that
Unison
live there, they just
driving
have
a
like a
car.
little smart car, and it's like okay, I can get with that
or
because
like
it's
a
like
company car.
yeah,
or,
it's a city car. It's really small. Go for it if you need it. But
like a little European
in London,
hatchback.
it's bus, train, like train tube,
public transport,
or it's like
bikes, and
Uber,
scooters
shit
and
like that.
Ubers,
It's like
yeah.
it's point like in Cambridge.
It's everything but driving.
Cambridge and Oxford, it's cycling cities. The same
Cycling and
same
driving.
way like Amsterdam is. It's just everyone rides a bike. You'll literally see like a fucking 80-year-old woman like
Cambridge is all
riding down the
flat as well,
road,
isn't it?
like with a giant helmet, a high vis like jacket on,
Yeah.
all the stuff with like we have panniers.
Yeah, so
like in Cambridge,
it's biking culture.
In Cambridge, it's so common that like
Portishead's also terrible for it because you have all the men in lycra with their little back pockets sewn into the like lycra and all that.
And people will literally, you'll see how they come up with solutions to like live with a bike life. So like parents will take their kids to school with like this little like trough, essentially just like a giant
Is it
bucket.
like a big box? Yeah.
Yeah, in front of them.
Kids just sat in front.
Or you'll see like
It's like a mini tent.
for the longest time, I didn't even realize. Like, I don't know if this was just pure ignorance or like you know being a kid and I didn't realize. But like those bikes where you can have 2 or 3 people riding at the same time, those are common. You get tandem bikes that are not like it's just a normal thing where you'll have like
Imagine having one in London.
you'll have
You'd
mum,
not
dad,
get
and then the
anywhere.
kid, or like mum, the kid, and dad, or whoever, like whatever order it is. It's like so. You know, like once I moved to London, I was like, when I knew I was going to move, I was like, I'm not going to get my license. And then now that I've been here, it's like, you know, I kind of want to get my license if I travel and I want to drive somewhere.
That's another thing.
But
is
it's
I thought,
like, I wouldn't use my license within London. It's
I
pointless.
literally thought the only reason that I would get my license now, it was on the basis that I might go to another country,
Right.
to film, and if you had equipment and cast and stuff like that, if someone can drive, perfect. Because then you can rent a car, have all the equipment and all the people in one car instead of like trying to bus it places and carry shit. It's like, well, that would be the only reason I'd have a license. But firstly, I can't travel because I don't have money. Don't have a car because I don't have money. And I don't do anything that requires a car currently. And it's like, so realistically, but like I'm also someone, by the way, that is a big advocate of cars. I love driving. I do love cars. And so I have like an instinctive urge. I'm like, I want to be in a car. But to me, it's like that will only happen when I make that leap out to London. As soon as I leave the city,
definitely.
it's then viable in anywhere. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like what I don't remember who I said it to, but like I think it's gonna get to the point where by the time that I can actually
Have a car.
like I need and I can afford to buy a car, I can probably just get like a secondhand Tesla or something. Like
That's
just
what I'm saying. That's
like
another
I
thing
can
that I
just
was
skip
saying.
all those steps of like, oh, petrol, nicer car, like you have like a shit box and then you upgrade or whatever.
'Cause
It's like,
charging's getting
I could just
easier
like
for it.
skip 5 steps to like the nice car that 5 years from now, a Tesla Model S that was a
Be like
2018
the
or
same
whatever.
price as like a Ford Fiesta.
Yeah, it'll be cheap.
It'll be
So-
like the common car to have on the road. That's what I'm saying is, well, the longer I wait, I just know that the better cars are getting naturally. So
Yeah.
your average starting car is going to get better.
And if it's not Tesla, then it will be other cars
hybrid
because
probably at
the
least.
the general trend of like car manufacturers now is going
Did you
towards
know-
electric or hybrid.
So super and hyper cars, it's now becoming more commonly like because the higher the speed limit, like they can push the cars, and the better the technology gets, the more commonly we're realizing that electric supercars or hypercars are actually now outperforming petrol hypercars.
What do you mean by hypercar?
I mean, like, think of like the fastest, poshest brand. Like, so you'd get like an Aston Martin or Ferrari or Lamborghini,
Right. Oh, okay.
And they
okay,
make
yeah,
and they make
yeah,
their
yeah,
like
yeah.
supercar,
Right. Yeah.
and the electric ones silent, but they're outperforming now petrol ones.
Like the BMW i8.
Dude, they do magic. So my brother, my brother's got a company car. He's got a really nice BMW, and it's hybrid.
Yeah.
And it is wide as fuck, which is terrible for the roads he drives on. I think it's an automatic and all of this.
Yeah.
But so it's got sport mode, obviously, and in eco mode. The ideal driver, like my brother, would be cruising around using both electric and petrol, very slowly, right? This man found the sport mode, and I remember like he enjoyed it a bit too much because what he was saying to me,
He
is,
just leaves it in sport mode.
so, and the problem is charging cars are still really inconvenient. And
it
so
takes
like
too much time.
there's like there was like 2 plugs or something at work, but it meant that he was always out and about, so like he couldn't charge his car or they were being used or whatever, which means at some point he's only running on petrol, which in a hybrid car it will just burn through that petrol. So it's like you need to have a balance of both or just use one or the other, but it's like if you only have one, you're draining through it. But yeah, I think charging needs to become more accessible.
The other one that I've seen is so like the issue with charging is obviously like speed. How like I don't know if it's physically possible that like in the same amount of time that you can like refuel a car, you can charge
Petrol's instant.
a full charge of a Tesla or whatever car it is.
So I think in top brands now, they've got it down to about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But
That's still not bad, but-
These are with cars with a massive battery, and some of them, right, the really like high end ones, it's not like a battery that you charge. You have to take the battery out of the car, which requires like there was a supercar or a hypercar I was watching recently, and it was like you can charge it in 45 minutes, but you need a whole pit crew to lift the car, take the battery out, charge it, put it back in, and reinstall it. And it's like, yeah, but... And then I think it was Jeremy Clarkson was on the show. He was like, yeah, but I'll just go fill it with petrol.
Yeah.
And then I'm on the road again.
Yeah, who has
And
the
it's
time
like,
for that?
If yes, the thing, if you don't have the time...
if
it's
you're
so
doing
inconvenient.
I imagine that
If it's overnight...
you can't do like a road trip because you can't just
No,
like I gotta
service
stop.
stations have charging points, but you have
Yeah.
to stop for a coffee
Yeah,
for about
yeah,
an hour.
but like
yeah.
you can't just like I'm just gonna stop by for
Have a
petrol
quick
quickly
stop,
and then
yeah.
I'm back on the road.
You have to sit there
It's
and
like,
have like
yeah.
a meal for an hour and
Oh wait,
read a book.
yeah,
like-
the one that I've seen and like I don't know like if that is what the future is gonna hold is that like Toyota's been doing for a while. I think they've been doing the hybrids where you can do hydrogen and then petrol as
Oh.
well. It's something
That's the
like
thing
that.
is we're still finding.
So it's
other
like with
forms of
hydrogen,
fuel.
it's running off gas, so you can essentially refill it as quickly as you want. The same way with petrol or diesel, whatever.
That's the thing. Petrol
But
it's mainly
it's
oxygen
hydrogen.
based. Oxygen is the biggest proponent
No,
in
it's
moving
carbon.
it. What from the petrol?
It's fuel. It's carbon.
Yeah, but like
It's oil.
no,
It's
but like
carbon.
alright, no, hold on. Let me explain. So cars have to be light and all of this stuff, but like they have an air intake,
Right.
and the air intake goes right in. So if you say climbed a mountain,
Right.
the thinner the oxygen gets, the
Yeah.
less your car can function.
Yeah.
And it means that
Yeah,
oxygen.
that's
Obviously,
that's
the
to
petrol
like
is the
fuel
goal
efficiency and stuff.
But
yeah.
like, there's still a lot of oxygen that goes into moving the car forward.
yeah.
But yeah, like another thing is like we still have a lot of experimenting to do with different types of fuel because people have done it. I mean, I don't know how effective it's going to be. You know, it's maybe
I think it's going to be ethanol, hydrogen, or fully electric. That's literally
electric
going to
seems
be
to be the most
only
promising of
options.
all of them.
I think the thing is like you have to go full electric just because look, at some point we're gonna run out. It's not like it's not
But how soon?
yeah. Here's the thing, right?
I know.
It will take like the next 20, 50, maybe even 100 years.
I reckon it'll be
us-
longer than you expect.
Yeah,
It'll be after we die.
most likely. But the thing is,
I
it's
could
like
run a petrol car until I die. I bet.
yeah,
Like-
definitely. It's not like tomorrow we're all gonna. It's electric now. Like that's
Yeah.
it. Because at the end of the day,
It's a slow change.
there's
as well, like a
shit in
progress.
society that it needs to run, and it's not gonna
need to
happen
adapt.
with just electric straight away.
And if it, and this
Right,
is
that-
the thing,
that-
if we push electric, we then have to like all these petrol stations need to be refitted into electric points.
Exactly,
or-
but that's like part of the point of what's going on at the moment is that it's not like in the next 10 years it's just gonna everything's gonna be electric.
yeah,
It's
a
like
slow build.
it's changing the infrastructure to support that, and then once the infrastructure is in place, once there's superchargers everywhere, once every petrol station has electric chargers, once you're at that point,
'Cause you see 'em on the streets now as
that's
well, like,
when
like-
you can really transition properly. But
because
at the
then
moment,
it's
you're still
easy for everyone to have an electric car, and not a
Exactly.
select few.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weirdly similar to the conversation I often have with legalization in this country. It's like they could legalize it tomorrow, but that's not going to benefit them, right? They want infrastructure, so they are going to spend a few years building dispensaries and shops, and they're going to have all of this shit sorted before they legalize it. And it's like that's the stuff that takes fucking years.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, they could just be like, legalize it today, do whatever you want,
Yeah.
and then we'll build shops. It's like, no, because countries work in long stretches of time.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, they like this country in particular.
Yeah,
they want to benefit.
when it's on the scale of entire countries and societies, like
And not just, like, states
It's
or-
gonna take time because there's politics involved.
Everyone says no.
There's
to something.
egos and there's politicians and there's lobbying and different interest groups and like
It just
that-
gets
that's-
passed around.
That's why shit takes so long to happen. Even though like we could say like yeah, like everyone's like yeah,
Let's just do it now.
We need to like get to a more like environmentally friendly and eco-friendly system and like society. It's like yes, it's absolutely true, but it's like until everyone is on the same page and all the
Which is never gonna happen,
all the
obviously,
like all the parties involved also want the same thing. Until then, it's just not gonna happen. So it's like things like that. You just have to wait for the right people, the right time, the right infrastructure,
The right
and then
public opinion.
and then once those things are in place, that's when change can happen. But that's like why I'm a bit more optimistic because we have your Elon Musks of the world and your
Yeah.
people that are just like, look,
We're not doing bad, guys.
I'm gonna do it whether you like it or not, and I'm gonna push hard, and I don't really give a fuck if you like
Yeah.
if you like it or not, or
I'm
you,
gonna innovate.
you like me as a person or not, you trust me or not. It's like I'm doing this because I'm passionate about it, and
And it proves that you can do it. It proves
Yeah.
that a person can just revolutionize the world because
What was
they
it?
fucking want it to.
I saw some conference that like Elon Musk was talking at, but it was like a
Because
conference.
he's also a really normal, kind of weird dude. Like, he just does his own thing.
Oh, he's a fucking freak, that guy. But he was at this like conference, but it was like essentially like big oil companies that were like there,
pharma, yeah.
right? And he was just like, I think it's obvious, guys. Like it's not like a question of
Yeah.
are we gonna run out of oil? It's just a question of when. So he's like, it's pretty obvious. It's not like a
can just ignore
it's,
facts
It's
here.
not. It's not like
that's
is
nice.
it gonna run out? Is it not? Are we gonna find more? Blah blah blah. He's like, no, you guys are gonna run out.
Instead
So
of
you
spending
guys
the next 10 years talking about it,
Yeah.
why don't we just start doing something now?
Exactly.
It's like, of course, like he's literally said, "Here's the fact. Let's work on it."
And-
but everyone's like, "Oh,
yeah.
is it a thing?" It's like,
And that's the same situation that he's doing with like his other companies. Is like, yeah, in the 60s we went to the moon, and then since then,
nothing.
like in the 60s people thought, oh, like we've gone to the moon, so next is
We're
like
just gonna keep
Mars,
going, yeah,
and
yeah.
next we're gonna. That's where you got. I don't know if you ever saw a show, the Jetsons.
I know of it.
Yeah. Basically,
Like a family show,
Yeah,
like a-
it's like
yeah,
a
yeah.
family cartoon, like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Flintstones, but it's
all
it's
sci-fi,
it's
isn't
set in the future. Like, oh, they have flying
It's
cars
it's
and
a
stuff.
normal
Like,
American
that's
family.
genuinely like what people thought. That's where you get like a Space
Flying
Odyssey
cars were
and like
massive thoughts,
yeah,
like,
these
yeah.
these like big films and big shows or books where
It's
it's,
all
like
chrome and silver.
yeah,
Like.
yeah, exactly right. But that didn't happen because it's like there's politics involved, there's budgets, there's technology and so on. And Elon Musk is like,
It's like how Fallout worked.
Like,
Fallout would always be like, "Come
we-
to our marvelous world," and
Yeah.
then it was like, but it ended up in nuclear waste.
yeah. So he was like, So his thing is like, eventually we're gonna run out. Like, you know, we need to be on other planets if we are to survive as a species.
Like
Because
long term.
eventually, yeah, a million years from
He's
now.
thinking about generations.
Yeah,
right?
like
Yeah,
a million years, a billion years from now, I imagine I could ask Lucas and get the exact number,
Yeah.
right? He'll watch this and be like, no, this is whatever. But like, he'll
Wrong.
like when eventually the Earth is poof gone, right? That's it for humanity. So if we as a species want to keep living, we have to find a way of getting off this planet and sustaining ourselves on different
We
planets.
need to live some sci-fi
and not
fantasies.
just like, oh, once we're at Mars, like that's it. It's like no,
keep going, Mike.
it's got to be like 5,
Habitable.
10, like 100. Like, as stupid as it is, it has to be like Star Trek, where it's just hundreds of planets, thousands of planets,
Well, 'cause,
different
like,
galaxies. Like, it's got to get to
People
that
just
point
sit
eventually.
through day by day,
Honestly.
finding planets.
Yeah.
Is it habitable? No. Is it habitable? No. And they just keep fucking going. And then every
I
now
wonder-
and then,
I wonder
in
if
2
those,
galaxies away, they're like, oh, there's one.
I wonder if those guys at NASA and stuff, they have like chronic depression because they just constantly looking
Constant
through
disappointment.
these telescopes that they're analyzing constantly, like, oh, is this planet livable? Like, oh, nope.
It's like
it doesn't have an
constantly
atmosphere.
starting a project
it doesn't
and
have
not finishing it.
it doesn't
Like-
have hydrogen. It doesn't have oxygen. Doesn't have carbon. Up. Can't
Sometimes
sustain
they can
life.
just look at the color and be like, that's not habitable.
It's like, I'll name it after myself, but we can't live there.
Yeah, it's like they expect when they went to the job interview, they expected No Man's Sky. Every planet had life and different weird shit on it.
Yeah.
And then what they got was just disappointment after disappointment.
Essentially, just rock planet after rock planet made of ice or rocks or, you know, like very low atmospheres, no oxygen.
Like not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, eventually we'll get to that point, you know.
How are we doing for time, by the way?
Well, yeah, I should kind of start wrapping up here. Yeah.
We can wrap up. This has been nice.
I don't know. I think we've done like, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours.
It feels like about
It's been a
that
while.
mark, yeah.
Next episode, we're going to check out Kenobi, Obi-Wan. We're going to talk about that.
Maybe Miss Marvel.
Yeah, okay.
We're gonna do the Disney
I haven't
catch
checked.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Because
that's fair.
Disney is the only
They're the
platform
only
that is
people
like
making-
consistently like releasing
They're,
shit.
they're the only people that can currently be making shit like they are. I
To be
swear.
fair, I don't check Prime anymore, and I
Yeah.
don't. I mean, Netflix is just like shit I've been watching anyway.
As someone that's
Like,
been
they don't
watching
really.
the Grand Tour on Prime, I can tell you Prime has not gotten any better since the last time you went on it.
The only thing that I know that they've released recently is what's it called? The one with superheroes, The Boys.
Oh, Boy season 3.
Boys
That's been coming
season
out. That's
3.
been fun. Yeah,
I don't even think I've finished season
yeah.
1.
People have been really liking season 3, but yeah, it's something that you have to get into.
It's like basically people are waiting until Prime does
Anything, yeah.
Invincible season 2, then they'll get a little hit.
shit. I forgot that's Prime. Yeah.
Yeah. Once they do that,
They're gonna come
they'll get like
swinging.
a little hit, and then unless they have something to follow that up with, it will just go straight back to Disney.
Same thing
because
with Stranger Things, brother, and Netflix.
Yeah.
They're gonna have that big finale, and everyone's gonna go, "Ooh, Netflix!" And then all of a sudden, it's all gonna collapse on itself. And
whereas
they're gonna go,
Disney is like, oh, we got another Marvel show, we got another Marvel show, we got another Marvel
Just
show,
fucking-
and then in between those Marvel shows, guess what? We got a Star Wars show, we got another Star Wars show, and another one. It's
and we're
like-
not struggling for money.
exactly. So
Whereas, yeah, no, it's there's some cool shit coming as well. October's gonna be really fun. There's a ton of shit coming out.
Right.
Mainly, like I'm thinking like game space, but like there's a ton of cool stuff coming out over the next year. I think we're on that precipice of being caught up from all because during COVID everyone had like that delay, right? Massive delays. So we're still catching up as like
yeah,
a
everything
whole,
that's been in production for the whole
because
period
we
of COVID.
like 10 years ago it was just like constant films, constant stuff always happening, and then we had that, but that break really proved that like, oh shit, like everything stopped, and we're only just catching up. And I mean, especially in terms of media, because like games and films can take up to like 4 years commonly, so it's like even if they started 2 years later, they've still got 4 years to make the thing.
yeah.
And
I
it's
mean,
like,
wasn't one of the issues with some of like the games that came out during COVID? It's just like all the stuff kind of like
you can tell it was disjointed. and
essentially had to,
disconnected.
instead of working in an office collaboratively
Like-
with your whole team there,
Yeah.
everyone, you got to either like take your PC home, whatever. It's like
you
you
go
had,
home and you
had
have
your
to
same
like
workstation.
email each other and
Yeah,
call,
it's-
yeah, all of that
not the
communication
same.
that they were doing, because where they used to be able to like walk to a PC and go, I have issues with these bugs, we need to fix it
Yeah.
now. Now it's like 2 to 3 working days, like everything just slowed. And it's like, yeah, they could do the work from home, but without the rest of the team, you're only making like a small fragment of a massive project, and like, you need that kind of like close community in those things because there's so many people working to make one product, and it's like you've got artists making textures, you've got people making the actual game.
There's hundreds of people that
then
go
you've got someone
into
dealing
the
with the
production
musicians and the actors, and then all the voiceovers and all of this insane shit.
You gotta have writers to write those lines.
But if you took one person out of that, it's like they're really making a small, like, you could take someone out and the game would still be finished. But like, you know, it's the whole group effort that work in tandem that make good products.
Yeah.
Because even if like the music side was really good, but they didn't talk to the other people, so it doesn't have synergy. Synergy is the keyword for today.
Synergy.
Honestly, it's not got anything to do with anything we've talked about.
Synergy. No, synergy between teams. Yeah, that works.
I like it. I don't know. I'm
Brilliant.
excited for more summary podcasts though.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like just like we just chatted. We just had a conversation. That's it. Like,
I would like to try a new location eventually for the podcast.
I was thinking about doing it outside. Honestly, I
want to go to a park and have a podcast.
Yeah,
with some cool people.
Podcast on the go.
If there's anyone watching this that wants to be on the podcast,
Podcast in the park.
Can you just message us because we will have you on? But if you just message us, you kind of skip the middleman of us.
I
having
have friends
to
from
find
work that I've been debating
Same.
for a while getting them on.
I've got so many people I'd love to have on.
Yeah,
just people in our life. No one that anyone would fucking
I'm gonna get
recognize
Lucas and
from
Anna on.
America, but like people that I know are cool that I'd like to have on. Like
Lucas, Anna, I'm gonna reach out. It's happening.
Yeah, for sure.
Brilliant. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. If you're listening to this on Spotify,
Stay
Apple,
hydrated.
whichever platform you're listening on, we greatly appreciate it. If you could leave us a like, comments, or any sharing, resharing, we'd greatly appreciate it. That's how we get the word out there.
Tell your mum.
Tell your mum. Tell your friends. Tell your co-workers. That would be amazing. Thank you guys very much for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Have a nice day.
You too. You too.
Thanks, dude.
Fuck's sake. I do that.